Well, we are surely wrapping up this work week with a big change to our weather pattern. Hey everyone, Darrell here, Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and across the Tri-County area today, we've had some snow showers. Winds have been breezy for many of us, and there have been some periods of clearing. All of this is part of a system that's bringing a cold front that's really fizzling out as it rolls into the Pacific Northwest. And so some changes to our weather pattern have still yet to come, and as we go forward through the rest of this evening, we still have a chance for some snow showers, putting slick conditions on our roadways. So we're about to take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Look at what's been happening, what's coming up next, and how this is going to really impact our forecast through this weekend and next week. Let's start things off with cameras for this Friday. Through the Cascades, we still have some snow falling, and we're going to look at some of those numbers here in a few minutes. The rest of the Tri-County area, that mixture of clouds with some clearing and even a little bit more precipitation, mostly in our highest elevation. So when we go ahead and bring it down to street level, look at some of the ODOT cameras. What we're seeing is we have wet roads in Lapine, Lava Butte, not much better. And then through Bend, Prineville, Madras, Sisters not as bad. In Sisters, we do have some wet roads as well. And one of the biggest concerns that we're looking at through tonight and the next couple of nights is the potential for a refreeze. So there have been some areas that have been getting a lot of melting. That's why we see a lot of these wet roads, also a few lingering showers. But where it's like that, temperatures are going to be falling back below freezing tonight. Look at some of them. Already in Sisters, it is 34 degrees, and a couple of those other temperatures are getting close as well. And that's where we could be looking at some of this refreeze, meaning some slick roads are going to be possible tonight and as we start the day tomorrow. Meanwhile, looking back up to the Cascades, a few more cameras other than what I was just showing you show that not only are we getting more snow through the mountains, we are seeing a few tracks where people are getting out there and having some fun. But just to refocus on what we have been seeing. First, there is a winter weather advisory. We're going to break down the details for that in just a little bit, but when we focus in on what's been going on between just south of Lava Butte, going all the way back through Sun River to Three Rivers, and even a little bit in the Lapine area, there is some of a snowpack for parts of Central Oregon. Now, it's not everybody, but when we look further into the highest elevations, that's where we have some decent numbers, 60 inches through the highest peaks of the Cascades in the Three Sisters area, getting to closer to Broken Top, more like 3 feet, 2 feet up at Bachelor. And that is what some of the forecast models have been showing. But really, when it comes to this type of weather, you really need to focus on ground truth. And that means quite often somebody sticking a ruler into the ground. And this is what we're looking at just here through the last 24 hours. New snow of 6 inches at Bachelor's Base, putting it up to 20 inches. And I just checked the snow stake, and they had cleared it about 3:30 to 4 o'clock, but earlier in the day it was around 7 inches. But on their website they still have the 6 inches. 5 inches at the base of Hoodoo, bringing it up to 13, so over a foot closer to opening. But they're still waiting on a lot of snow. Timberline has just some runs open and some lifts open, so limited operation at Timberline and at Bachelor. Meadows has 2 feet of snow as well, so it is something we're continuing to track, and there is still a little bit of snow left over, because what we're looking at is this system that's been fizzling out over the Pacific Northwest has triggered the National Weather Service to issue this series of winter weather advisories through the Cascades, specifically through the Cascades of Central Oregon until 7 a.m. tomorrow. And with that, we're looking at a little bit more accumulation, and we could actually be getting another 5 to 10 inches through the Cascades. Of course, that was as of earlier, and there's still a chance of some snow. So when we look at a few of the forecast models, Saturday's paddle prognosis shows that Bachelor, another 1 to 4. It says 2 to 4 inches with that forecast model, but I'd be happier saying 1 to 4 inches. Same with at Hoodoo. But look at those temperatures tomorrow. A big drop in temperatures keeps us in the teens and 20s for highs at both Bachelor and Hoodoo. Bachelor will be colder there, a little higher in elevation. And as we go forward after that, we are looking at a break from all of this snow that we have been getting, and the showers, the rain showers that we've been getting as well. Now, satellite and radar shows a little bit of precipitation precipitation is still over the region, and this low pressure is fizzling out. What's not fizzling out is a cold front on the back side of the low pressure. So looking at infrared satellite imagery, we can actually make out where that clearing line is that has been pushing through the high desert today. Now, there are some other clouds on the other side of the Cascades, west of the mountains. Those will also push through the high desert tonight. But outside of that, one thing that we're really noticing is this is infrared satellite imagery. There's an enhancement to really pull out those tallest clouds where we have more convection, which are pushing off to the east, but also there's pressure. And where the pressure is where we have those white lines, the solid white lines. Those are isobars, or equal lines of pressure, and those are starting to spread out a little bit, which means winds are beginning to taper off. Now, when we look at the bigger picture, I'm actually going to go back real quick. When we look at the bigger picture, there's a broad ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean. There is another low further to the south that's bringing a plume of moisture right into the Southern California, the Baja California area, and even getting into the Four Corners region, and that is almost a Pineapple Express. It's coming up from the tropical latitudes with just a band of moisture right into that part of the country. But through Central Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, we don't see that, so we don't really have that band of moisture that's rolling in. The next system that'll be rolling in is part of this cold front that's on the other side of our high pressure. But the thing is that high is sticking around, so moisture going right over the northern fringe of that high pressure and right into Canada. Even when we look at water vapor imagery, we are noticing that there's a little bit of moisture still overhead, and that could lead to some areas of fog tonight. So ultimately, when we look at our forecast model, some of those clouds are going to be slow to really thin out, and that's where we could be looking at those pockets of fog. Some flurries through 6 a.m., then we start to clear out. And then we're back to more sunshine Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And so it looks like with in and out clouds, we're pretty much calming down. And there are already some spots across the Tri-County area where we have very high relative humidity values. And these are going to be some of the first places we're really looking at and tracking for fog development. Meanwhile, high temperatures today, look at that, 40s and some 30s. And this is in the last 24 hours. So some of these are holdovers from yesterday. But look at that, Sun River, Lapine, Three Rivers, maybe even to Deschutes River Woods, not even getting out of the 30s. Right now, most of us are already back into the 30s, with some of us flirting already with freezing conditions, and this is where we could be looking at some of those slick roads. Also, keep in mind areas of fog, slick roads, freezing conditions. We could be looking at the potential of freezing fog overnight, and temperatures are already running cooler than we were just 24 hours ago. So let's look at a temperature trend the graphic. There we go. What we're seeing is that tonight we're falling back into the 20s. Now, some teens are expected, and then by tomorrow, topping out of the 30s with only some 40s. So it is going to be much cooler. Saturday, a cold start, some slick roads, more sunshine and still breezy at times. Highs mostly in the 30s with a few 40s. By Sunday, topping out on either side of 40 degrees. So 30s and 40s, and by Monday, well into the 40s with just some 30s on the map. And that we go from below normal for this time of the year to near and maybe a little above average. But ultimately, look at this. Future precipitation through Monday, maybe some light snow totals in our lower elevations, definitely some in the highest elevations, but most of that's happening tonight. And then we start the gradual warming trend that brings us back to near and above average for this time of the year by the time we get into the beginning of next week. Wednesday is New Year's Eve, and we are going to be well above that average high of 42 degrees. We're going to be sitting at 49. But let's look at our forecast model. Earlier, I showed you a high resolution model. This one is the one we typically use on air, and it starts off with a system way out over the Pacific, a ridge of high way out of the Pacific right there, you can see it, but then there's a ridge of high pressure over the Pacific Ocean too, and all of that moisture is going to go right into Canada, pretty much bypassing us after we see these flurries fizzle out by tomorrow morning. So even some areas of fog, where you get areas of fog, some flurries expected with that as well, and then we start to clear out. By Sunday and Monday, a mixture of sunshine and clouds, but more sun, then cloud cover, and no precipitation in sight. That's right, we are drying out and under high pressure, staying dry through the beginning of next week. So let's look at a long-range forecast model. This really helps paint a picture of what to expect after the weekend. Also, forewarning, this one hasn't been doing too good with what comes pretty much after Tuesday of this week. And it does show that some in and out clouds are expected Sunday and Monday. By Tuesday, not much is changing, and really it's not until Thursday that we start to see more clouds. By Friday, maybe some light showers, but they'll be few and far between. So between now and noon on Tuesday, we are looking at a trace to maybe 4 inches at the highest elevations of the Cascades. Another one that's not as high of resolution shows that we could be getting 1 to 4 inches through the mountains and a trace in some of our lower elevations. And then also, look at this. Winds are gusty right now. Gusts between 15 and 27 miles per hour across the Tri-County area. Now, actual wind speeds more like 5 to 15 miles per hour coming out of the west, and it has been breezy today. Tonight, that becomes a light breeze. Still breezy at times Saturday, and then by Sunday, we're back to a light breeze. This is when that ridge of high pressure really takes control of our weather pattern. So for tonight, 20s with a few teens possible. By Saturday, more sunshine, especially later in the day. 30s with a few 40s out there. Then by Sunday, we are topping out on either side of 40 degrees. The warming trend continues Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then by Thursday and Friday, a shift in our weather pattern. As we start 2026, another system could be impacting us. At this point, not too much in the way of precipitation, but that could be changing as we get closer. So that is the latest in weather. Before we leave and get ready to start the 5 o'clock show in the evening lineup on this Friday, December 26th, I'll leave you with a look at our weather headlines for this weekend. Some snow showers tonight and into early Saturday. It will be colder with calming and clearing expected, but more sunshine is on the way. We are going to dry out and a light breeze is expected. Also, as of right now, we don't see too much in the way of precipitation across the high desert just before 5 p.m. So that is it. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.